Hey guys, welcome back. I will be starting immediately because I do not have that much time today, unfortunately, but hopefully it will be a good session. I'm only going to be here till about 10:30, I would say. I have some residual work I need to complete by tomorrow morning, and it is a 10 p.m. start for us, so apologies I'm a little bit late. But yes, let's get started. Can everybody hear me? It's the first stream's back for a week. It's been a while. Let's see how many people are on Zooms. Can everybody in chat hear me? Just give me a thumbs up and then we'll start. It's going to be a quick in and out today, guys. Not going to be here for very long, unfortunately. There's some other stuff I need to do. Is no one here? Or can no one hear me? That's what I need to try to figure out. Yes? Okay, nice. Fantastic. Hey guys, welcome back. Apologies, I need to leave relatively soon, but I'm just going to jump straight into it. I don't think we've done an analysis for February yet. So, I mean, have we? I think we have actually. So obviously for the monthly, right, we're in this range still. We closed bearish for January, meaning that any given point we can come down to fill the bottom of this monthly wick down towards 2000s, right? And we have a pretty nice top wick for the monthly as well. Does that mean that monthly is definitely going to be bearish, right? I don't know, right? But at least I'm bearish until the wick fill and probably until a tap of around 971. That's where I'm bearish until. And the issue is after it taps there, you know, your overall structure for price is still very bullish. Any given point, right, you can just start rejecting off of these areas, grab liquidity, and then start retesting those highs. But I can't get into those, you know, monthly swing buys until you potentially get, you know, a closure respecting 1991, or you get a closure breakout above 2070 something, right? So that's the only ways I can kind of trade the monthly time frame at the moment. But you know, just for this month, right, we're 11 days in, and what February is a relatively short month as well. Any given point, right? This could be the monthly top wick, right? And we could be, you know, coming down for the rest of the month to get that wick fill. And if that happens, great. You know, we'll look to take some sells to continue down, which should be some pretty clean range. But your monthly, right? You know, you understand that you're in the middle of this range. You know, you've tapped the top of the range, and now you're looking to come back down. So still, the next logical area that it should tap, right? So cool. Bearish for the monthly. Weekly we've actually closed bearish again, right? Respecting this area here, which is fine, right? It's showing that last time we tapped into these areas for previous week, right? Here, all of these times here, tapped into similar areas, and from there we started to get our rejection. So this may be the first sign of a rejection, right? We closed bearish respecting 2042, right? We have a previous top wick, and our previous weekly on the 29th of January, right? That didn't have a bottom wick. So this week's candle came down, created that bottom wick for that candle, right? And because of that, right, you're understanding that you've established a range, right? A top of the range of resistance here. Any given point, price rejects and comes down, fills the bottom of the range, which is down towards, I would say at this given point, right, around these areas, right? Because you're expecting, if price for the weekly has been relatively bearish and you have liquidity now, probably for this week, you're probably quite clean to come down and drive towards the bottom of your range, which is around 2000s, which is your first kind of rejection area, I would say. And after 2000s, maybe if you break below, you have some pretty clean traffic potentially down towards around 1973. All right, so your weekly, I'm going to be bearish for the week. You may get a steeper top wick, but I'm not expecting one because this top wick here, right, was pretty nice. If you do come back up for a top wick, I would expect it potentially to be around these areas, right, because you haven't broken the previous weekly high. So you will need to probably break the previous high if you are planning on coming up to grab liquidity, because your previous weekly doesn't have too much of a top wick. That's the only thing I would say, right? But I am pretty bearish for next week. All right, so daily is interesting. I'm gonna get rid of this. Actually, I'm gonna move this, just make it smaller. All right, daily, I would say you had a range here, and you're kind of just in this bit of a mess. This is really messy, this whole overall thing, right? I would say this is just a range, right? Any given point, you do have some smaller ranges in between, which potentially take you down towards 2017, right? And it's looking like for your daily, you did close just below your most recent, right? But also respecting, I would say, these ones here. So I would say your general daily range is probably here to here, 2030.7 to around 2017. Now that you've got a breakout below, right? Your previous candle rejected, came back up. All you need is re-break these lows. You may get a test of these bottom areas right here, which is pretty nice, right? That's a 28 advantage point, right? So definitely a tradable area that we can look for, but it's just, you know, this next weekly candle, what is it going to do first? Is it going to come up, create that top wick, or is it going to drive first, right? Any given point, you could see this drive down first before coming back up, and that could be, you know, the rejection for the weekly, and the weekly could come back up to re-break these highs and start closing back above, right? And that could be, you know, in line with what our monthly analysis is, right? And a re-break of some of these highs, start retesting, you know, all-time highs. You need that breakout. So, you know, things could align in both sells and buys. I would say, yes, I'm definitely more bearish, I would say, for next week and for tomorrow especially. Understanding you have a bit of a range to come down to fill. Last time you tapped into these areas, right? 2020 here, you rejected, came back up. So maybe you see some, you know, liquidity around these areas, right? 30 something. Let's confirm where that was specifically. Let me just draw out which candle was it. It was these two candles here. All right, let's have a look. So these two candles. All right, last time you came down, you tapped into it. Okay, you didn't, right? You just tapped into 2014 and you just started rejecting immediately, right? So in that case, right, you probably have a pretty nice advantage point down towards around 2014, right? You understand that there's a high chance this is going to tap. Where did you grab liquidity last time? Up to these areas, which you also did. So you came down to here, but you haven't filled that entire range. So you have range to drive. But, all right, for me to get in, I would definitely need to see a little bit more, right? Probably in the form of that weekly top wick, daily top wick, before we're able to come down. Because at any given point, you're right, your weekly is still like you've closed bearish, but also respecting this range here, right? So you're just in this massive range between here and here. So weekly at the moment could do anything, right? So if it comes up for breaks the highs, if it comes up first, breaks these highs up to somewhere around 2047, and then starts reflipping bearish, right? Maybe we can look for some sells, right? As that happens, break some of these highs. Maybe we can look for some sells as your daily closes back below 2030, right? So what would that look like? Let me do some annotations. Essentially something like this, right? So you have that weekly, potentially, sorry, your daily coming back up, right? After potentially a bottom wick. Not too far down, I would say, right? Because you have range to fill down. But if it starts coming back up like this, cool. We can look for, at this point, potential fake outs to come back down, right? And then as you get closures below this range, right, below 2030 here, you have pretty nice range down to fill towards around these areas, and then you could see a retest of those lows at this point. But, you know, I'm drawing this structure out just as if this happens, right, then we can look for some sells to come back down, because every single time you've come back up and refaked out and then come back down, you have filled this range down to here, right? Faked out here, filled this range, right? Here you get fake out here, filled this range down. So that's what I would be looking for. But at the same time, this has already happened multiple times. If this doesn't happen this time, I wouldn't be surprised, right? If it kind of closes above and it starts pushing up, I wouldn't be surprised. If it starts, you know, pushing down first and you don't get the structure, you could see some sells below potentially like 2001 to come down towards 1990. Right? So a lot of stuff can happen, right? And this is not necessarily the only thing that can happen. But if this is going to happen, right? If this is the scenario that plays out, then cool. I'll look to take some sells below 2030 after that fake out, which needs to tap into around 2048, 2047. Cool. So that's I would say my initial idea for price. I'm bearish, right? So I want to take those sells, but the only way I can get those sells is if price breaks some highs, right? Confirming that it's not going to start pushing up. But I can also take some sells if it is just going to start ripping down. And that's likely not even going to be below here. I'm not going to lie. This might be a little bit difficult. Because if this was liquidity that you needed to kind of start driving down, you would have, right? just straight past this area, down towards here. So I'll probably wait for another closure below for the daily, but 4-hour could also close below, and that would be nice, right? Say 4-hour closures potentially below like 2013 could be off the rip to come down, but that's the only sells I can have at the moment. For any sells below 2030, I'm going to need a retest of these highs, fake out, come back down, right? Look at this, fake out, come down. I need a closure below because these didn't close, and then you closed after that fake out. Cool, straight down, right, off the rip. Right here, start faking out, right? Come down here. Take if you imagine you take a sell here, you have a stop loss here. Cool, you fill the bottom of the range here. That's what I'm looking for in terms of my position, right? But the closures are very important, and you need a closure below that level, 2030.7. This is very much an established level now, I would say. You also do have another established level around sort of 2039 areas, but I can't take any buys above 2039 until you form bottom wicks. So if your daily candle, your weekly candle comes down, breaks some of these lows, breaks below 2013, taps in 2013, and then starts breaking above 2039, yeah, cool, I can look to take buys going back up, right? I can look to take these buys, right? For you, imagine this is like a daily candle, right? Look to take these buys, right? Because at this point, you've broken these lows, and then you've come back up, closed above. Right, cool, I can look to take that. And that could be a 4-hour, that could be an hourly or whatever, right? But the higher the time frame, the stronger the confirmation. But yes, that's basically it. My chair just broke. That's not ideal. Oh, Johnny's here. Yo, what's up, Johnny? I think you're gonna mute as well. I think. Let me know. But yeah, I think buys may be above here, but I need to tap into 2013. So that's my zone. Anywhere below here, right? Anywhere here, I need it to tap. And then sells are gonna be below 2030 if that happens, right? So I can't mark this up at the moment, but if that is the case, I'll look for sells below here, but I'll also need potentially some top wick, and that top wick area last time, I mean, it could be somewhere around here, anywhere above here. So, and then I can look to take sells. Cool, that's the analysis, guys. I don't know if Johnny, Jacob, can you guys, I think you guys can unmute yourselves, so if you, but I can't stay for too long, unfortunately. I have some downloading of information I need to do before tomorrow morning. Any questions in the YouTube chat while you have me for the next 8 minutes? AB Mike, Arnold, Bit Me Some, usual crew. What do you think of buys from 2022? 2022. I mean, you're pretty close to 2022. Are you in the trade 2022.6? I would say it's dangerous, right? Obviously, everything is looking pretty bearish at the moment. Your 4-hour also just grabbed liquidity. You did tap the bottom of the range, but the issue is, right, you don't know if you have enough liquidity to continue driving down, but the bias is more bearish, right? So if you're in a buy, I'm guessing what you're trying to trade, right? The cycle of the market you're trying to trade is you're trying to trade the liquidity grab, right? Potentially grabbing liquidity before you're able to retest the lows, right? I mean, it's a good idea, but I would say at the moment it's probably not very valid, right? Even though you have filled the bottom of the range, so it depends where you kind of got into. Ah, yes, I am muted on Zoom. Please come aboard. You guys can unmute. I think you guys can unmute. You guys. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, I just did my entire analysis and you guys didn't hear shit. Hope that was very useful for you
It's
guys.
the same as the past month. It's fine.
What was that? Yes, the buys from here. Like, it depends where you got in, right? If you got in around these areas after the rejection, maybe on like the smaller time frame, like here, as you maybe got like a zucchini or something, as like you start going up, maybe, right? But it's difficult. It's difficult. Why? Because you've already come up, right? And if you were to, yeah, you can imagine, right? If it really wants to drive down, you get a rebreak of these highs to come down. But if you look at the higher time frames, right? It's just like every time you kind of came down to fill this range, cool, you're in this range. This could be may get a spike up, but it's not that much of a range to fill, I would say. And with your daily closing bearish, your weekly closing bearish, everything closing bearish, right? There's a high chance you may come down first, and even if you do come up, that could be after a bottom wick to come up, right? So imagine yourself here, right, in this area here. Cool, you came up, right, to these areas before you were able to drive down. So is this going to happen first? Is this top area is this happening first? If it does, right, get a top wick to around these areas, and then a rebreak of these lows, yeah, cool, I'll look to take a sell down towards here, right, because you have this range to fill from here to here, right, and that's from 2020 down to 2015. That's a 50 pip range. Very nice, right? But until that happens, I can't take the sells, but I also can't take the buys because I'm expecting this to happen, right? I hope that makes sense. I'm through 14, but yeah, Johnny, I've got 5 minutes left. Any, just because I've got so much stuff to do before tomorrow.
I don't know.
I think we had some pretty good sessions in last week for the members. I feel like you guys can read price really well as already, so I'm not too worried about you guys.
Here's something actually. These so if you look at the 4-hour close on the Thursday, the 8th.
Which one?
So the bearish close, right?
This one, yeah.
Yeah. So these ones with like very little bottom wick having driven quite far.
Yeah.
Do you think we can start when they're at a resistance level? Do you think we can start looking to flipping our concept to be looking for buys instead of sells?
I think the issue for me was this. I guess you did kind of struggle and then push. Let's look at the smaller time frame, right? Like you're looking at, why are these circles so zoomed in afterwards? But you're looking at this, right? You've come down. You've, I guess, established a bit of a support thing here. You tap the bottom of the range. I would say the only buys you could probably get maybe are like above here. So like a zucchini essentially, if you will. But like
when you
rebreak this high probably
resistance, yeah,
because you broke this 4 hour, right?
2030.
Yeah.
As you're trying to fill the range 2020 to 2030.
I'm just trying to see, like, if you took the rebreak of this high, I mean, your stop is about 36.
Because I remember the first thing it did was it came down and printed a bottom wick.
Yeah. We're looking at here, right? So this came down. I mean, you have no top wick here. You came down, broke this. I guess if you got a closure, because if you look at the 5 minute, right, this technically is your range 1, and this breakout above here is a range 2. I don't like this doji candle. I like this breakout. I would have maybe, I think it's difficult because look at this, straight up, right? You probably
it just started driving.
Yeah, it's difficult to find an entry there. But obviously, I think above here is good because if you wanted to drive down, this would have been liquidity to drive. And if you aren't like to come up, right, then you probably need to grab liquidity, even further liquidity. Exactly, right?
Probably back up towards
top of the range around these areas. Yeah. I mean, definitely valid. It's just
because I feel like I get a bit tunnel visions in, like, we're coming down, so I need to focus on getting sells. Then I'm like, why is it coming up? You know.
Yeah, for sure. I think like when we were, I don't know, when was most recent news? Like here.
That spike, yeah. It wasn't on FOREX Factory, but it was some sort of inflation.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think like here, once this 5 respected, I was looking for sells. Straight up, I was looking for sells. Like, because if your news candle is gonna push up all the way to here after having rebroken all of these lows,
Yeah.
push up, and then not push up, this would high chances of liquidity come down, and you have a range to fill at least towards around your 2030 areas, right? So
Yeah.
like from here,
I was looking as well.
Yeah.
If that was what you were. Was that what you were in?
Yeah.
State basically.
that's basically what I took. I took, it was relatively aggressive. It was just like looking at the one structure, it was so aggressive, right? You came down, your 5 closed here, right? After this candle came
Yeah.
down, and then it started doing this. I think I took like a rebreak of this low or something. Oh no, I didn't. I don't know what I took essentially, but yeah, I was looking for sells, and then like more sells coming down. I was just so bearish on Friday.
Yeah. You took so many positions.
Yeah, I had some like sells down here or something as well, like around here, or like I don't know where it was, and I was like holding through a bunch of stuff, and then came back out, and it was like plus 15 or something, plus something. Yeah, overall I think it was plus 45 that day, so it was alright. Sub Jacob,
I got like 6
Yo.
or something.
you got 6, nice. I mean it's still dub. 60?
Yeah. No, 6.
6.
That
6
was
is
it.
a dub.
I took one position.
Yeah, that's nice.
They
Yo,
didn't
I
quite
was so
play.
good.
What was that?
For sales, like at 2021,
Sells at 20.
would you just need like a top wick, or
Sells here.
at 2020, like once we get to that level, like a break of that level?
Break of these lows. It depends, right? So it depends if price comes up first, right, and then re-breaks some of these highs. Like I'm looking at like anywhere above here at least, right, to come down. If that happens, then you get a re-break of this low. I'll have a sell stop on the re-break of this low because you've tapped into these areas, right? Looking left, last time that happened, you had a drive down to here, respected, came up, grabbed liquidity, straight back down. So if you are going to grab liquidity, high chance it's going to be around this area, but it's not necessarily going to flip to come down, right? So I'll probably look to just have a sell stop here. And I can't really take anything here because this could go up, right? And then you could see something like this, right? And then that. And I don't want to be stuck in that, so...
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then for buys, you're going to need to really break some of these lows first. Yeah, but I'm
I
expecting
have
once you
my
break
level
this low.
for buys just all the way at 2042
Yeah, above the
or
around, yeah,
2043.
yeah, around these
If
sorts
it
of
closes
areas.
above 2038 on the 4 hours, pretty clean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 38 is really clean because like I need a top wick though, right? Like look at this,
Yeah,
no top wick.
This is one of the other things that
But in terms of like
thinking about thing earlier as well.
the
No
way we
top
trade
wicks.
now, my bad, John.
No, go.
I was just saying the way we trade now, like we get range one trades, but it's just that we wait for liquidity now, right? So say we wanted buys today, we would need to for the break of the lows, and then
Yeah.
we could take buy back in range one, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like this though. Like even if you have no top wick, you still have range to drive. Like that range isn't bad. Like it's to here. It's 24, but it's you're trying to catch 10 in 24 as compared to this, right? Where you have a real breakout with the top wick, and then you're trying to catch what, like 10 within 60 or something, like or whatever.
I mean, it was like 100 pip drive or something, 100.
Yeah, exactly.
So perfect.
Right, I got to bounce, guys. Good sesh.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys for members only tomorrow, anyways. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Have a good rest of your Sunday, and peace.
Yeah, you too.
Peace. Yeah, and apologies, guys, on the YouTube. I do have to leave. But we will be back Tuesday, and if you want to join the members, we had like 3 calls, I think, last week for the members only because I was in Paris, unfortunately. But they were pretty good. So, yeah. If not, I will see you all back here on Tuesday. So yeah, take it easy. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.